Stupid ads. Goodbye.
What's going on, Brent? All right. What is going on, everyone? It is Thursday at 7 p.m. Central. You guys know it's time for another ranking show. 4.1 limited pro stocks are on the docket this week. We're joined by Mr. Chris Ashelman, and we're supposed to be joined by Mr. Lindstrom, but he is having technical difficulties. I think he's still trying to get in. So we will be joined by him soon. Guys, we've said this multiple times before about our list, but this week was probably the hardest ones to make because there's just so many tough tractors, and they're literally all over the country.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me, especially because I don't get to see them that often. You know, like we got one 4.1 tractor that's in my state, and I've got to go, a couple hundred miles to find the next one. So it's tough.
Yeah. Wyatte, where you're at, you're kind of 4-1 Central.
Yeah, kind of get to see a lot of everything. I mean, I've got WTPA, Region 3, Badger State, ECI's got them. And then if I want to, I can hit some Western Series or Outlaw stuff. I'm right smack dab in the middle of 4-1 country.
Yeah. I have a few 4-1s. I think we have around 8 or 9 4-1s on Mid-South down here. But that's about it. So, Wyatte, you've definitely got more of an insight this week on who you've seen, where, and why. Charles and I are just kind of going to go off of what we've seen and the results we could find.
Yeah, it's being as I live right where I do, I can go off of a lot more stuff, but also can drive me nuts because there is so many. I mean, Badger State averages 15 tractors a hook. So yeah. I mean, you get to see a lot of them every single week.
I'll tell you the part that made it really difficult for me was not having the results to go off of on the PPL side of things, because Silver Series is there, and that's where a lot of hard runners are. So not having those results still and kind of going off of memory, what I saw throughout the season, that was about it. So with that being said, Timothy Wolf, Ohio has light limiteds. You are correct.
And most of those, like light limited pros, the limited pros will run Region 2 also. So then you can
Yeah,
go.
they will. I mean, Region 2 is one of the stronger regions. I mean, Region 3 is obviously more your area there. And you've got the Western Series, you've got Outlaw. I mean, there's probably some associations out west that I don't even A, know about, and B, don't know that they have that class. So, Mr. Ashelman, are you able to talk to us for just a second before we get started?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Kind of take us through your season, because we're going to come back to you in the middle, especially because there's one part that we want to talk about because of what time of year it is and everything. But just kind of take us through your season and how everything went.
Season for us started out good. We got voted into the Pullers Championship last year. We worked pretty hard on our Facebook, and we got a pretty good group of following. Got a lot of good fans, family. Got a lot of friends that know us and communicate with us, and so we got into the Pullers Championship, and we did good there. We've never pulled down there, so it was kind of a learning process. The first night missed it a little bit on setup, took fifth, and then came back and actually won Saturday night, and then we felt pretty confident going into the first Silver Series hook down there, and we did all but didn't do nothing there. The first night we had a really early hook, just wasn't on our side, and I think we took the lead on our hook. It just was too early with the big, again, you guys say there's an average of 15. I think there was 20 tractors that night, or 16 or something. That's huge class. So, and then the second night we actually broke a throttle cable. So we started our Silver Series about as bad as you could imagine, and then kind of dug out from there. Hit a lot of new tracks this year that we've never pulled at. Met a lot of new people that we've never pulled against. And we had a lot of fun, and that's what we're really trying to do, is just have fun and become better tractor pullers. My dad's been pulling for his entire life, almost, and I've been around it and been pulling garden tractors and now big tractors for 6 years or whatever. So we'd had highs, lows, and then we finished strong down at Wheatland. We were second behind Hartman. They're tough to beat, and it just feels good to be right in the mix. We went down to Wheatland, and you got all the Western Series guys and Adrian Cox and all these guys that Western Series champs, and I think there was even some outlaw guys that came over. So it was cool to be right in the mix in top two and top three there. So it was fun. We had a good fun year.
Yeah. So have you always pulled 4-1, or did you pull, say, Hot Farm, Super Farm before that?
So no, we started out 2016. We bought a 466 Pro Farm tractor from the Kesnick family up in DeForest, Wisconsin, and we went with South Central pulling 3,000 RPM Pro Farm. Friends of ours, Steve Mead and his brother Darren, he passed away on us a few years ago here in a tragic farm accident, but is what got us back into it. Is me and my daughter would go watch them pull, and it seemed like a lot of fun. They're good people. It was a fun class to watch. It got us hooked back in, and then it went from there. We said we'd never go anything bigger. I'd probably, like every tractor puller does. And next thing you know, that next fall with John Mayer Jr., we were at the Fall Nationals at Badger State. We were planning on building open RPM Hot Farm motor and basically a whole new tractor, and still had the Pro Farm. And then what led us to having a buyer, Dan Zahner, that bought ours and has done extremely well, picking up right where we left off with our Hot Farm. And then we bought this 4-1 out of Missouri from the Mosley family. And so at one time we did have 3 pulling tractors in the shop. We had our Pro Farm, our Hot Farm, and the 4-1. And now all we're left with is the 4-1. So we've been pulling that since June-ish. I think Darlington was our first hook in 2021. And we had some trouble there. And then pulled Badger State that whole summer, and then made the decision to run the Silver Series and click these things off the bucket list before time gets us.
Yeah. That's it. So which one's been your favorite one to drive?
Well, that's a no-brainer. I think everybody understands it. You know, I mean, the 4.1 is a blast. Just the horsepower and the sheer torque it's got, and carries good RPM. But the hot farm was fun. That was always a good class. Puts on a good show. And again, Badger State Hot Farm. Every weekend there's 15 tractors, and that are some of the best in the country. So, but Pro Farm was fun too. It's different levels. It's not even really, it's not comparable to each other, and it'd be bad to say one's less than the other, in my opinion, because a lot of people say, oh, it's a starter class. No, there's nothing starter about Hot Farm. From what John Meyer Jr. built us there is a full-blown pulling tractor, and no starter is going to walk into that. So they're all great classes, and it'd be no different than if I got a chance to run a pro stock one day. It'd be the same thing. So
they all have their highs and lows. I mean, all have different driving. Everything has different driving ways. So they've got each got their different types of fun.
Absolutely. And some guys do better in other classes. I mean, it's all about driving technique and, seat time and everything. It goes from, it's not just driving, it's setting things up, setting the tractors up, looking at tractors. Everything goes into the consideration, to be a good tractor puller. So.
Yep.
Kevin, I know I think you can hear us. Can we hear you?
Yes.
Yes. Yep. I can hear you.
Awesome. Just wanted to check now that we got you in here. So that's good.
So,
yeah, sorry about the delay.
It's all good.
You're completely fine. I know where you live way up there, it can get sketchy with weather and stuff like that. So completely understand. But Chris kind of said his story, but Kevin, you want to go through how you got started? Because you used to run with us in the Super Farm days, and then you jumped up to 401 when it became popular.
Yeah, I started in 1977 at the Pierce County Fair. My dad's 766. I took last place, and Brett Berg was there with 766, and he took first. And he visited Hypermax once or twice with his, but mine was we learned the hard way. An 18-inch drawbar and an aspirated tractor in that class did not work. But I was pulling, and I was happy, and it all started. I mean, I used to go to tractor pulls. My dad used to be a weight man. Him and the neighbor here. And I was always watching. I've been going since I've been 6-7 years old. So watching, the Kurt Persons and the John Tennises and all them guys. And I grew up watching them. So, but, and we kind of banded the 766, and my uncle had an 806, and I actually, for my confirmation present, they gave me a M&W turbo put on it. We pulled that for a little bit. But we were having trouble with the fuel breaking shafts. So I went and found a 1066 with a narrow front end pedestal, and that was a 1980. I guess we found that, and we stripped it down to 9,000 pounds and went to Hammond had their 4th of July pull, and we went there. And we won the first one out with it, and I was hooked. We were in high 3 in the 9,000 pound class. I put it right up against the scoreboard at the end, and the sled operator, I thought he was going to chew me out. He came up to me and said, "Son," he said, "I'm sure glad you had control of that." He said, "That was fun." Crowd was wild, and I said, "That tractor, we still own that tractor. I mean, that's not going to leave the farm. That's just one of them that that thing won a lot of trophies over there." But and anyway, I bought the Hyper tractor in 2002 out of Pennsylvania, and a guy pulled it in a hot farm class out there. 14 and 16,000. It had 30.5 tires on the back, and it had 3-point and PTO, but it had a 540 motor and a good pump and turbo and stuff on it. And we took it and we hooked Indian Head for a few years with that, and had a good time. And then we decided to go. We went to hook some Tri-State as a hot farm, and then I think it was 2005 or 6 we switched it over to Super Farm, and we ran Tri-State for a couple of years. We could run an intercooler there. Well, then when they outlawed the intercoolers, I'm driving right by WTPA shows that hooked Tri-State. So, and we had to, got to set up the run without the intercooler. And I don't know, we ran that for quite a few years as Super Farm. And had good success over the years. And I think it was 14 we decided to make it into a limited pro, but we switched to one over and we went and dynoed it, and we come home and I said, Mike, we got to switch yellow. He didn't want to switch, but I said, we got to switch it. I said, that's fun. So I said, we switched them both that year. So
correct me if I'm wrong, but did that tractor, the Adrenaline Rush, was that originally from New York, or where was that from?
that was from New York. Yeah, we bought that chassis. Yeah, we bought the chassis. I had a spare motor, and we bought the chassis. We kind of went together on that, and yeah, that's where that came from. That was the original name was Adrenaline. We just had the Rush to it. So they actually hook a light as a Weaver owned it, and they hook a light super now with. They built a light super component chassis.
Oh, okay, yeah, Weaver family. Okay, that makes more sense.
I think his name is. Yeah. So.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, we just Adrenaline was that first year. I put a new motor in mine, and we put the old motor in the Adrenaline. I chased Adrenaline all summer. I looked at that all summer. I wanted to switch motors back, but Mike and Matt wouldn't let me do it. So that one just went. It worked really well right off the bat.
Oh yeah.
So
if you're just joining us, it's the 4.1 ranking show. Chris Lasherman, we didn't realize this. He's going to be in and out with this program. He's got some union negotiation meeting that he's also listening in on tonight for work, for his day job. It's pretty important. So he's going to be in and out, but also thankful to get Kevin Lindstrom to be able to be in with us as well. And I think we're about ready to go with our top 10, but before we do, of course, we got to get into it. Yeah, I know. Everybody's making the face, both Wyatte and Shane, as soon as I said that. And I got to admit, this is probably the hardest show that I've been a part of because I only see this class, but maybe 3 times a year. So it's tough for me to put that finger on the pulse of what's going on with 4.1. But I did my best, and we're going to get through it. And I'm sure if you think my rankings suck, you can send me an email, cpostracing@gmail.com, and I will be happy to ignore it. But anyway,
yeah, Why and I will hear about it in our group chat later. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's totally fine. No, so where you see it 3 times a year, I can see them 3 times a week. So I kind of can go a little deeper into it. So
hopefully, I won't look like too much of an idiot or an ignoramus, but. Well, that happens on a daily basis anyway.
I have prepared a statement for the honorable mentions of this class.
Okay.
The 4.1 class is one of the most stacked classes, both in terms of names and numbers. There's no way if I made this list again that the same 10 would be on it, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2. There are simply too many good tractors in many parts of the country to mention them all, much less rank them all.
How many of those guys paid you $10 a head to say that?
None. I just did to avoid it.
Diplomatic answer.
I just kept making it. And I'm like, okay, I'm at 20. Okay, I'm at 30. Okay, we gotta stop. We gotta regroup here.
Oh boy. Yeah, boy.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll go with mine. I actually did put some in my honorable mention. First off is G-Force of the Gerlach family. They have 4 wins on the year. They've been around a long time in this area. Second is a past Grand National semi-champion, Dean Hollicky. The Killing Time tractor, many wins this year on Outlaw and NTPA. Weekend Warrior of the Cavalry family, and then side piece of Mr. Bear and Outlaw. He had a couple wins this year on the Outlaw series and had a strong showing.
I actually did put some names as well into honorable mention. I did mention Gerald Gerlach and G-Force. I mentioned Mr. Payne, Bad to the Bone out of Region 2, right here in Red Express. The Top Gun of Darren Weirs, the Plants Tractor. I did also put in my honorable mention the Angle Kings and Dark Horse. Really just barely on the outside looking in.
And you just launched yourself on pulloff.com for that one.
There is so much that's not on pulloff.com that this will be buried way deep, because if they knew everything that was going on tonight, holy smokes. Let's do this. Let's get to it.
Made it yet?
There we go.
Let's just say if we haven't made it for light limited super stocks, we're not going to make it for this.
No.
So that's all I can say. So
So I've got a 10A and a 10B because it was just too close to call.
And to be fair, we did discuss this one of the few times. It's something we pre-discussed of putting teams together in a ranking. If that's where you're going with this, go right ahead, sir.
So for 10B, I had the Weekend Warrior. They were runner-up in the Mid-South points this year and did not get away much from the home, quote-unquote, home sandbox because they were more focused on the Mid-South points because Mid-South had so many points this year. They are making their debut at Farm Show here in a couple of weeks. My 10A was the Dixie Deer. He was the Mid-South points champion. He finished second at Farm Machinery Show last year. And if he had some more crossover, then I would have no problem putting him a little higher. But I haven't ever seen him run crossover with the Limited Pro yet.
That's fair. Knowing counts, in the past they've been tough wherever they've been. Grand National Super Farm champion past, and they picked up right where they left off when they jumped up to 4-1. So
they've got a diesel truck now too to throw on top of that.
Oh yeah. And Kevin or Chris, if you want to jump in and talk about any of these guys that we're mentioning, feel free to. You guys know the class way better than any of us, so jump in and say what you mean.
Yeah, the only time I seen Russell's last year was at the farm show, and that tractor runs good, and no doubt about it. They found a nice pass.
Yup. My number 10, it's one Charles, you mentioned your honorable mentions. I put the Bat to the Bone tractor. He was a Region 2 champion, had 4 wins on the year. The tractor originated from up here in Wisconsin with Mr. Scalzo, and knowing that tractor's history, it's always been a winner, and it's been tough.
He was always tough when we on I pulled against him. It was one to beat.
Oh, yes.
I'll tell you now, you're going to see him on mine.
I guess I don't feel so out of line anymore. And Shane, for all the reasons that you enumerated with this tractor, very good season, but needed to see the crossover. But I agree, Dixie Deer. It's hard to argue with the win record, but just needed to see it against everybody else.
Yeah, and that crossover does come at Farm Show, but I mean, like we've discussed before, the 250-foot indoors is just a little different.
It's a different beast, and it's once a year. Once a year on oddball track doesn't express dominance to me. It's you got to do it everywhere.
Now you throw him on the Shipshewana track, and he does well there, then we're talking. Yeah. I'll throw that out there with as good as that track is.
Shipshewana is more like pulling outdoors.
Yeah, you get up and run a little bit more.
Yeah. No, that's a good track. That's good dirt there. I still miss Gordyville, I'll be honest. I always wanted to carve that pile down there, never did.
Oh, I forgot I'm going first. My number 9, that's where I had Mr. Ingle King. He does not run a full circuit, but when he shows up, he is one of the strongest tractors on the grounds, and you're going to know it.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that.
Yeah, Kevin, he's got a lost throwing 4-1s even in his dyno shop, too. I mean,
yeah,
there's some tough names that come out of that shop, including his own.
I'll be really curious to know how many of these that we have on our list come out of his shop. And Mr. Lindstrom, you might know off the top of your head, really.
Yeah, I might be. I got an idea. Usually got an idea how many or who he does. But
yep, that'll lead me to my number 9, and well, it's your son Matt, and then Mike Sather with the Adrenaline Rush. 3 wins on the season. He was second in both the Region 3 areas. Second WTPA points too. And he did win Louisville. Is that correct, Kevin?
Yeah, he did. Mike won it last year. He went down there and laid down a monster pass and won her. So that's the first time we went down with that tractor. It didn't do very well, and then last year made up for it. So hopefully we can do well this year. We just got done putting it together. It's actually going to the dyno tomorrow. So.
Yep.
For my number 9, I took the liberty of exercising the team role here and I went 618 Motorsports and the combo of Brett Shorefighty and Brett Hackstead for this one. Did well in PPL, didn't travel a whole lot. They were in ITPA when they could, but had some high scoring finishes across both tractors in some very well populated meetings, and did pretty well for themselves. So that's where I put 618 Motorsports.
Yeah, tough always on the ITPA circuit. Brent and the whole crew down there.
All right. For me, number 8, I went to ITPA. I went to full bore on this one. He had wins on the Silver Series and ITPA from what I could find. But I couldn't find straight numbers.
Yeah, that's something to mention, though. Silver Series, I wish we had more opportunities to see results. I had, for myself, Silver Series results, I did look off of Ruby Soil's Facebook page, also on Chris's Facebook page, just to find something since the website is not up. So trying to determine something off of that was hard. Like you mentioned, you can't really find much. So,
yeah. I was able to get my hands on one article that I sent in our chat to make this show, the Western Series. I was able to get my hands on an article for that thanks to Ryan Zolik.
Yep.
You're up, bud.
My number 8, one you both already mentioned. I went with Kevin Engelking, the dark horse. Like you said, he didn't run the full season, but he had 2 monster passes up in Toma, and Toma has always been a good track. And he had a couple other wins on the season, one in Baraboo, Wisconsin, and then another Badger State Hook. And Kevin's just been doing really good with one of the only whites that's running 4-1.
For my number 9, I went to George Meyer and Side Piece. Primarily focused on, I think, Outlaws, but over there with as extensive a schedule as they've got, hauled out, I believe, 5 wins. That's pretty impressive against the competition over there. So, for better or worse, that's where I landed that one.
Is that the old Hampton Hooker?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, that's a good running tractor. That's used to run with him around here too.
Yeah, once George picked it up, he's done really, really well with it.
He made the highlight reel in Ellsworth Showdown in Kurdtown a few years ago when they laid the top half of the motor on the track.
Yeah.
Top half over in a fireball.
Yeah. That was quite the deal. The starter came off and hit the cement wall, but actually put a dent or put a chip on the cement concrete wall. It hit hard. So,
jeez Louise,
that was quite the concussion.
That was a boom.
I know. I talked to Roger Boots, was the finish line flag guy. He says, I got a lot more respect than I used to have. He wasn't very far from that tractor. That thing come apart. That was pretty good concussion.
Yeah, I got a lot of respect for them end flagmen because they are holding on for dear life there.
It is quite a thrill. If you ever get a chance to be an end flagman, it is quite a thrill to see him coming at you. Really
I've done a couple of events around here. They asked me if I wanted to start, enter, the finish, and I said start both times.
Yeah.
If they were farm stock tractors, I really did not care. I did not want to be on the finish end. That brings us to my number 7, and I'm going to the Hickory Hooker. He was your Western Series champion. Had quite a few wins there.
And it's a real tractor.
Yep, very clean, very hard running. Runs well. My number 7 was your number 8, Shane. I went the full bore of Ratterman family. The many ITPA wins, and he got a couple Silver Series wins. He's tough on that Southern Illinois circuit. Plus, whenever he jumps over, it's from what I've seen on videos and results, just solid pass out of it.
So here's where my inexperience starts to kick in. Based on the available results that I had to look at and kind of stack stuff up and try to figure out where things are. I did have to go to a team sort of approach and lump 2 tractors together. And this may be a little bit low for them, and I'll admit that. But this is where I put the Bausmas. They run great, and as a team, they are hard drivers. I don't think there's much between Mike and Steve as drivers, but I don't know. It kind of goes to our inability to access where the PPL Western Series and Silver Series results are, and kind of see where all these guys come together and where they stack up. So I'm only going from like this. This is like trying to decide who's going to be an all-star based on looking at their minor league team scouting report, and it's not fair. I don't get, like I said, I don't get to see everybody all the time, so I don't have that firsthand look at it. I'll take the hate mail. I'm good with it. It's just it's what I've got to look at.
Yeah. I think they ended up second on the Western Series, and I think they may have won Nebraska Bush.
They did win Nebraska Bush, and I did see that. And I didn't try to just look at points, right? I tried to look at results from individual hooks and go down through, and you see those guys. Like if you just look at a points, you see it even if it's a sophisticated points breakout where, all right, somebody's getting first place points across the spreadsheet. That doesn't tell you who they had to beat, because if somebody's a non-member, they're not going to appear in that. You got to go and look at the results and see who they actually beat. And that's where it's so important for doing these shows that, you know, the absence of those PPL sheets, it sucks, because I know there's a lot of crossover there. They would probably push that team higher. And I just don't have access to that knowledge. So I got to go with what I know. And like I said, it's, you know, the analogy I can make is it's like a minor league scouting report looking at Major League Baseball and trying to predict who's going to be an all-star. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to make of it.
No, that's not.
I don't think you'll find any team that hooks any more than they do. They said basically they don't need a passport, they'll go pull there.
They sure will, and they're good guys. And I think end of the day, like I could throw them, both of them, right up in the top 5 if I was to do this again. I just had to pick something for tonight, so that's where I wound up.
Yeah,
they've been 4-1 around here. They've been 4-1 as long as anybody. You know, that Steve's tractor, they built that as a 4-1, and they were still hooking Mike's tractor as a super farm at that time. No, they're good guys.
Oh, they're a hell of a good family, and I hope they're not mad at me. And I'll take the ribbing when I see them again. It's all good.
Yeah, I agree.
Knowing Mike and Steve, I don't think they're gonna hate you.
No, they're awesome people, and I'm glad to know them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They probably win the award though for the most miles traveled though.
Right in there.
I don't think there's any argument on that.
And I think they're the type of guys that will go try and prove you wrong.
Yeah.
You know, they are great people. I agree with every one of you.
What are you gonna say, Shane, there?
I was gonna ask, what year was it that they went from one pull on? They had to pull Friday at noon one day. They went somewhere else, hooked Friday night, came back for the Saturday hook. I think they were going from Rockwell to Minnesota, maybe.
They went from Rockwell to Nebraska.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nebraska. I was
2 years
there.
ago when they won Nebraska Bush.
Bunch of guys have done that in the past.
Yeah, that's a
And
test.
Rockwell's always tried to kind of schedule those guys where they could run twice there and then go hit, you know, Outlaws or whatever on the Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, and there was quite a few that would do that. And besides them, I mean, Deck did it too, and Brian had the one bad apple the 4-1 first.
Yep.
Yeah. So my number 6, Wyatte, you've mentioned him already. This is where I had Bad to the Bone. He was a Region 2 points champ, but I have him a little bit higher for a little different reasons. He went outside of his normal box this year. Him and I talked. He's a Mid-South runner primarily. That's Mr. Scalzo's old tractor for one, and how tough it ran before then. And he told me this year, he said, I want to go to the Interleague. He said, and I feel like that's going to help me get in the farm show, which it has. He will be making his debut there here in a couple of weeks. But he went out of his normal, what we like to call the sandbox, and ran the circuit. He got 4 wins and 7 top 5s. He never finished outside the top 5 whenever he ran at these new tracks, and they even switched drivers once or twice whenever they went to these places. I know the interleague results didn't necessarily dictate the results, maybe, but he's a strong runner.
Yeah, that's a very strong tractor.
Yep. My number 6, I went out west, and I went with the Outlaw champ and David Novak, the Mean Farmer. He was the Outlaw champ. He had Outlaw wins, but the no crossover for me kind of does something because we don't get to see him run against guys like any in the Badger State or when the Bowsels crossover or Dean Hollicky, they'll come from the NHPA side. They'll go over, run Western Series and Outlaw too, but doesn't seem to cross over. So we'll see how he fares up in Farm Show when he gets to run against some other guys. But for me, that's where I've got him.
Is this his first year being at the Farm Show?
Might be. Yes, might be. I can't confirm that, but it might be.
Okay.
So at this level, I started to split teams. I wanted to make a stand as we went through the top 5 and pick something. And so for this one, I did go to one of the 2 Hartman tractors in Hardcore Addiction. Did well. Oh, I turned off caps lock. I'll fix that. Anyway, Silver Series number 2, and it's kind of I believe a swan song for this tractor. It's going to be at Farm Show, and I think that's the last ride for Hartman's with that tractor. I believe it is sold. So if we were to redo this in 6 weeks' time, that tractor's not going to be there anymore because it's going to have a new owner.
Yeah.
I don't think the Hardcore made the Farm Show, did the international?
No, I think they're taking the international.
They are.
Really?
Yep. The hardcore.
Okay.
got
Well,
sold.
regardless, it's still sold after that event. So
Yeah.
It's actually in the possession of its new owner.
is it okay?
Yeah. I've heard of some of the plans that they have. I talk to them every once in a while, and they've told me what their plan is. So I'm excited to see how that goes. And
Again, I plead ignorance about 4-1s.
Dusty, thanks for the help on that. I couldn't remember. I thought he had been before. All right. So we're going to take a slight break from the rankings because, Chris, I want to talk to you about something. And it really kind of took the internet by storm. And everybody that's watching, feel free to sit back and take a look for just a second.
Really something. Not even. Let's see what it is. I don't know.
So proud. Dad got her in. Show what it is. I'm excited. Guess we're going to Kentucky.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that video took the pulling internet by storm. Chris, you've been pulling long enough now. I mean, everybody dreams of going to the Farm Show. I dream of it. I've been lucky enough to go with my 2 brothers many, many times, and it's only 2.5 hours from my house, so I've gone pretty much every year that I've been born. Just kind of talk to me, like, what went through your mind whenever you're reading that and what you've kind of done to prepare to get ready for that.
Well, first off, I'd like to start. This may be the only chance to thank the Kentucky Fair Board I get, for selecting us to be there. So this all started, years ago as a dream. Yeah, I mean, knowing the Farm Show status has been around for so long, but sitting there, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and I remember sending a Snapchat out to buddies like, this is life goals. Someday we're going to get here. And we were just pulling Pro Farm at the time. And I never thought that we'd go to this next level. And then, the stars aligned and we sold the tractor to buy another one. And, met a lot of great people along the way that have helped us tremendously to get to this point. And we're not people, we can't do it ourselves. I give a lot of credit to all these guys that build their own stuff from the ground up. I mean, that would even be more special, but I don't have the time, the skill, frankly, to do that. But for the farm show, the reason we ran Silver Series was to put us on the map to try and get to the farm show. I had no idea that they were going to take 24 for one. When we started the year to run the Silver Series, I'm like, our goal was to win the Silver Series to get to the farm show and to make a point. We came up a little short. We were second in points. But, we felt that is still a good standing. And then when I hear that they're making 24, I'm like, oh man, we got a shot, and actually we were up at an NTPA meeting with Mr. Lindstrom here. And I was talking about with him, I sat at the table with him and that, I think that night I got home and he got his letters that night. I'm like, oh man, I was freaking out because I didn't think we'd get the opportunity because, for whatever the case may be, we haven't been around enough yet on the big scene and so on and so forth. Because it is kind of one of them deals where you really have to show your worth, so to speak. And then I had some optimism because our mail is a little slow where we're out. It seems like we're always a day or two behind on our mail. And I hit the mailbox and there's that big manila envelope. And I knew what it was, but I didn't know because I've never gotten that letter before. So it was super awesome.
The rejection letter comes in a regular envelope. That's when you get the vanilla one. That's the one you want. So.
Yeah. So, and now knowing that, I think that it's a little different, but it is a huge achievement for me and my dad, or I should say for my dad and I, for how long he's been pulling and what he's been involved in with pulling over the years, and how much he's sacrificed to get everything and to get us to this level, and how much my family's set, my wife and my kids, and how much time we're all tractor pullers, we all know. It seems like we're always gone, and some people just don't get it, and some people they may never get it. So but I started pulling when I was like 3 or 4 years old on garden tractors. So I actually once tried to get into racing, and my dad says we don't race cars, we pull tractors. And that was very short-lived in the racing scene. So I'm happy to be a contestant at the National Farm Machinery Show. I've called with questions, and they've been super helpful. Thank you, everyone around me that has helped me, my family, my friends, my dad, my mom and stepdad, and my stepmom, Jill, my wife. I mean, there's so many people that are our team, John, and just the list goes on. All our sponsors. We have a ton of sponsors. We're a pretty low-budget team. And we are very grateful for the people that are surrounded our team to help us get to where we're at. And we're bound and determined to show them what we can do at the farm show, hopefully.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. If we had to put you in a March Madness style group for that group that you're in, you'd definitely be towards my top.
I appreciate that.
So
we've tried hard to learn quickly. It's not all about power. It's there's a lot of other factors, but you're constantly pulling against the best in the country all over. No matter if you're in Silver Series, Western Series, Batter State, NTPA. I heard a rumor that there was like 60 or 80 some applicants for the farm show, and I'd hate to be the farm show committee that's got to pick that.
Yes.
And for you guys to do this top 10, you're brave because I don't know, again, how you pick it, so.
Yeah. I'll give you a little insight on that one. Wyatte, how many hours did we put into putting these lists together a week? I know I'm at least 3.
At the end of the day, at the end of the night, when I try and do this, it's a couple hours at a time. all day or like all week long. But I mean, if we
Yeah.
catch heat for it, for what we study, we'll catch heat.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of what I put on here. I put them where I put them.
Yeah, I mean, I've even been approached and told that you can't bring stats into tractor pulling. You have to judge it based off how they win and how consistent they are. Well, how else do you get to that but looking at what we look at to make these lists? You can't. So, I mean, it's coming. No matter how many people like it or not, stats are, in my opinion, they're going to be here for a while.
Yeah. Anyway,
It
look
makes
at
it
it.
interesting to me.
Yeah. It's serious in the way we look at it, but it's also we have a lot of fun with it. So
Yeah, and we're texting each other like, okay, I made my list for the week. I'm leaving it alone. Then we get on here and tell each other, well, we changed it again.
Now that the young guys are done being nice about it, you know what? You're so smart. You think you know how to rank these guys? Come and beat my list. Let's bring it on. Show me where I'm wrong. Bring this on. I can take it. I got thick shoulders. I've been around a minute or two. I don't have to be nice like them. I already admitted I don't know what I'm talking about with 4.1s. I don't care. I still put a list together. Did you? No, you didn't. So let's see what you got. All right. Now that we're done with that.
oh boy.
Oh, jeez.
And we lost Chris because of it.
Yep, Chris said, yep, I'm out of here. He said, I poked the wrong. He said, I started something I didn't mean to. Okay, pull that list back up. We got 5 more spots to do.
Rock and roll. Okay. Let's fly.
Big rise here.
All right.
Ugh.
Number 5. Let's go.
Oh, wait, it's my turn. I went to the mean farmer. Our outlaw points champ and Charles, like you said, and Wyatt, not enough crossover from the outlaw guys. And I know they're going to say, well, why do we have to cross over there and y'all, instead of y'all coming to run with us? I understand that, and I wish we could. I really do.
Well, let's just say that the guys from around here will come and cross over. They're not afraid of it, but it's also
no, they're not.
Badger State and WTPA Region 3 have a lot of hooks too. And Kevin, you know this. You travel a lot of miles.
Yeah, we can hook every weekend. Sometimes multiple hooks during the week, but but I'd like to hook more. You always like to go. I always like to hook because that's. I don't mind driving.
For sure. Well, that moves me on to my number 5, and the guy that kind of got kicked off here. I had Chris Ashelman, the digging for a living tractor. He had 1 win on the season, and that was at the Poosch Championship where a lot of guys were. But he's consistent throughout the Silver Series points. As he stated, he's been tough the first couple years he's had a tractor, and from what it showed, he's a tough runner.
Yeah, very tough runner tractor.
And our first coincidence of the night.
Yeah.
I did the same. That's where I put Chris.
His phone died. Yeah, he told me he's getting back on. His phone died. I'll add him back. Hang on. All right. He's down there.
Sorry.
All right.
Battery goes really fast.
It
Catch you
does.
on this show. All right, Shane, let's keep going.
Number 4, that's where I have the digging for a living, second the Silver Series. Chris, you and I actually met at the Poosch Championship back in May. And I actually figured out we had a little bit of history. Your dad's been here to our farm before.
Yeah. My dad was down there. I can't remember what he was down there for. My dad, and my uncle used to be a Case IH dealer, and they bought out. They got bought out in 2002, but they kept the Ingersoll garden tractor line, and they've actually bought out a lot of dealers around the country. And I'm sure he was down there for something, picking up garden tractor parts, buying out a dealer, and him and my stepmom were down there, and they brought a sprayer boom down to your guys' farm, and that was we were back just pro farm pullers, I think, at the time. So
Yeah.
not just, but we were pulling pro farm.
Yeah. Wyatt, rock and roll.
Number 4, I went with the Western Series champion. I went with Adrian Cox and the Hickory Hooker. Like I said, he had won the Western Series points. He had 5 wins on the season, finished here on a high note in Wheatland. And from what I've seen on that tractor, and it just lays down passes.
I actually chose to split the Lindstrom team and put Adrenaline Rush in this one. Just enough of a difference in performance between the two. They both ran great, but just enough difference in the two that I had to kind of split them apart. So that's where I landed that one.
Yeah. All right. Top 3. This is where I went with Hartman, your Silver Series points champion. I wish I could have found how many wins he had. I dug and dug and dug, and I turned up nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much won all the Silver Series books in, or most of them.
No, I think he won. He won the first 4, and then I think he won Wheatland.
Okay, yeah, I watched the Wheatland show the other night. There, that was pretty impressive run.
Yeah, I feel bad for my dad put us a good setup. I just went too far right, but
Yeah, you had an too. Adrian Cox had a nice pass. Felt bad. Yeah, I was there a few years ago. That track looked a lot better this year. It did a couple years ago when I was down there. It looked like it was taking some power.
I'm going to be curious to see where PPL ends up having their finishing pool of the year this year, because it doesn't appear that Wheatland's going to be on the schedule.
Oh, really? That's kind of surprising.
I know. I was really hoping it'd stay, but
That's a very nice facility.
I haven't had the chance to go.
My wife and I drove down a few years ago. We just pulled in. It's a very nice facility.
Chris,
Yep.
are you the first Hillsboro Buckle winner as a rookie?
if Rusinick says that, I believe him.
That's fair.
That was our first time pulling there, and honestly, we laid down some good passes, but we were on both sides of the draw that night, as well as you guys know. Sometimes the draw can get the best of you, and sometimes it can help you, and I think it helped us that night. But we still had to do what we did to put down good runs. So,
RJ.
Who is this Chris guy?
leave it to Simon.
Yeah.
Love you, RJ.
By the way, if any of my Hartman International Addiction team is watching, you guys need to come back down south and come run with us some more. We miss having you guys down here.
Yep.
Wyatte, rock and roll.
Number 3, I went with the guy who won the Badger State points. I went with Nick Gallatin running in the red. 6 wins on the year from what I counted on Badger State, and when he crossed over, won the Badger State points, won TPC overall, finished your strong in Monroe, and barely edged you out, Kevin, by a couple feet. And as you know, Gallitz with Tom and Nick and then Al Wright, that's just a tough group of people.
Yeah, we have Chip Schwan watched them out there. Them guys are, they were within inches of each other both nights. They run good. They're consistent.
There's Andrew. Love to have you back down, Bubba. All right, Charlie.
International Addiction, your Silver Series champ.
It wouldn't be a ranking show if you and I didn't do it at least once.
At least once. And I will say, and we've said this, I think, numerous weeks in a row, and it applies this week as well. If any of the top 3 this a dozen times, and it would still be, we could move them around. So,
Oh yeah,
That's fair.
you put any of these names in a hat if we're betting on a pool, who's going to win a pool, and you just have to do a random draw. I'm not going to be mad at any of these names.
yeah, I agree.
Yep. My number 2, that's where I had running in the red, Badger State points champion. Got to see them run. I think this was, besides Farm Show, that was the only time I've actually got to see them run their 4-1 was at Shipshawana. And we were there, and it's still true to whenever they run Super Farm.
You saw it ran at TPC too.
Yeah, I did. Gotta go. Okay,
Andrew, I
Andrew,
said it last week. I'm gonna say it again. The last two letters of Dino is no.
hi. Oh man.
He wants to move up.
Yeah, move up right into the ceiling.
Yeah. My paying group from Tennessee is watching tonight too. Look forward to seeing you guys here in a couple or next weekend at Southern Invitational, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. They don't have y'all's class, but I know you'll be there anyway. Also, guys, this weekend too, we do have more polling action. NTPA Ocala poll is Friday and Saturday night.
All right. Moving on to my number 2. I went with International Addiction of the Hartman family. Like you said, Silver Series champion. They just tough overall. I mean, when you say Hartman in the 4-1, you know they're going to be up there.
I
Yeah,
had
that-
to skirt
always-
and go with a team again, and lump them together.
Okay, so he's
Stack
technically did it
together
twice.
for number 2 for me.
Yep.
Question is our number 1 the same?
3?
I'm
Charles.
gonna start typing. You tell me when to stop.
I got it.
I
Well-
went with Lindstrom as a whole. Yeah,
I am all for you guys.
polling team 1 and 2 on Region 3, 1 and 2 on WTPA. Absolutely kicked everybody's rear end at the Enderley pull off. It was awesome.
Well, that Enderley track is one of them tracks that I know what I want to do for you. I just love that track. Just that track and me get along really good.
Yeah,
It's been really good to you.
yeah.
it
Your
really-
pass, it was.
Up that Enderley track is up there. That's probably one of the best tracks I pull on. Rockwell, Iowa, the night one was really good this year. The Norwalk can be good. One is good, but that Enderley track, that Jim Miller does one heck of a job out there. That I've seen we had a rain delay, and I thought, well, this isn't going to be much good, and it was better than it was before. That's a
Yeah.
good dirt.
Yep.
Sitting here looking at this list, guys. Holy moly.
Well, I will give you guys a lot of kudos for this list. It's pretty amazing, and it's hard to get it down to 10. But Mr. Lindstrom, I'm gonna come watch this year, and I'm gonna come compete against you, and hopefully I can learn something.
I think I got the kiss of death there already.
Is that the Region 3 tees, Chris?
Correct. Yep.
Ooh.
We've committed to run Region 3 this year. It's something that my dad and I talked about, that why we got a piece capable of doing it, and we got the time. We don't have the money, but we got the effort and the willingness to do it, and we got our health. We need to click some of these off our bucket list, and
I agree.
we can stay right at home and pull against the best in the country, but it's something we did the PPL thing. I'm glad we did, because we got the experience of Lucas Oil side of it, and now it's time to venture over to the NTPA. And my dad was excited last year when we went to Toma, and we took top 5 up there. And I still go back to this when we go pulling. We got all the time in the world to talk stories, and he tells a story about the best they ever did with the Screaming Eagle there at Toma was, I don't even know what year it was, way back when. He's like, the best we ever did was 9th, and then we were running the stock intercooler, and boom, and when he says boom, it about sends you out of your seat, and so it was pretty cool to see him excited when we took 5th there, and I'm looking forward to getting back to some of these places like Rockwell and Toma, and not back to, but go to these places. Just we got to do it while we can.
Yeah. Did you run up in Rockwell this past year? I know you went to Toma and made one pass one night. Did you get to go to Rockwell at all?
No, we did not go to Rockwell at all. We stayed. We went to Toma, ran the Thursday night. Then we left there. We loaded up and left right away and went to Mound City, Missouri for the PPL pull that got rained out.
Okay.
We should have turned and burned, but looking at the clock, we would have been back to Toma at about 7:30, and I don't think they would have liked that.
And Andrew, is the head still on it? Did you survive that little detour?
No turbos, no pistons, no bearings. Please hold together just for another 2 weeks. All right. Mr. Lindstrom, Mr. Ashelman, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your guys' night to be with us and ranking all these awesome tractors. And to everybody that's watching, I've seen some of the names popping up in the comments. It's awesome to see all the guys that are watching this class. Our numbers tonight have been off the charts. It's definitely one of our top 5 shows. So
Don't keep doing that.
Well, I appreciate
So-
it, and thank you for kudos.
Yep.
I hope I can live up to the hype. It's pretty high markings. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Andrew's teasing us still. He said mild changes right now. We will see.
I
And
can give suggestions which way to change it down.
and Doug, we are not talking about what came out today because we are not poking that bear.
No. Like when he said mild changes, like I was ready to tee off, and I'm not gonna do it. Not gonna do it.
All right. Can we clarify what we're doing next week, though?
We're probably going to pro stocks because I was looking at the way our thing worked out. I don't think it's going to work out right.
Yeah, well,
I know. I don't think so because next week. Oh wait, no, we still got 2 weeks.
Yeah, we can do hot. We're gonna do hot farms next week, and then we're gonna go
95
back to
hot
pro
farms.
stock.
Yeah,
So-
95 hot farms next week. That's including the 510 and the 466.
Yeah.
Ship
So-
Shawana rules.
Ship Shawana will be looked at. I don't care if it's indoors. I will be looking at it. And then I will be calling Wyatt and Charles both to figure out where the rest of them are because we don't have but maybe 1 or 2 95 hot farms down here.
Well,
But
anyway.
anyway,
Well, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, and great job for doing what you're doing, and hope to see you all at the farm show. Come stay high, and hopefully we can give Kevin a run for his money.
Well, Chris said, I'm going to go out here on a limb. I think Andrew Hartman's going to be the one to beat down there, to be honest with you. That's the tractor. He's going to be the toughest one there.
as long as the wheels stay on the bus.
If that good one to come off last year,
I tell you what, their laps down there are important, and that we just can't. You guys got good laps. It's a totally different animal. So I know everybody's good, and however we do, I think that's going to be
well, to me, it's
pretty
just
acceptable.
That's a win in itself to get invited down. It really,
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Sorry I had to bug in and bug out there. I didn't think things were going to take that long for me. So
It's all good,
it's
Chris.
no
Thank
problem,
you for
man.
joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us. We will see everybody next week for 95 Hot Farms.
Thank you,
Take
Kevin,
care.
as well. Appreciate both of you guys.
All right, thank you.
thank you.